This is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.
Hello and welcome back to the Octave Leap live stream. As you can see, I'm in a different part of the spaceship today. It's a little bit more warm, a little bit more vibey than the normal control room with the holographic ball that you all see every week. So this one is a new space I'm trying out, and the reason for that is because today is a very, very special live stream. Why is it so special? Well, it's a big show, especially for people who may have struggled expressing themselves fully and authentically, or maybe that you've run a business and that word marketing comes up and you clench in fear and don't know what to do. You're going to want to listen up real close here. And I just want to say that the things that we discussed today changed not just my life, but my business. I don't know if many of you know me from a few years ago, but a couple of years ago, I used to work really, really hard. I used to work way too much, and I'd always be trying to fit into somebody else's success model. I would, read about these really enticing things that seemed to work for other people that were way too complicated for me or just didn't feel right, and I'd try to apply them to my own business, only to find I was getting very lackluster results. And then I met this person, this incredible guest that I have today, who really helped shine a light on my own gifts and how I could connect with them very easily and bring them forth. And after speaking with her for a couple sessions, it really was the pivotal moment in my own business in making that shift from, the old marketing way to just authentic expression and being able to be a weird rascal and run with it and enjoy it and have fun and kick ass at the same time. So like always, you can feel free to ask questions. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from today in the chat. And I'm going to introduce our guest today. Without further ado, we have Ayla Verheijen. Hello.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello. It's so nice to have you here. It's there was a period where we didn't talk, and I just got to see you and all the beautiful stuff you do with your own authenticity online. And it's always just so refreshing to see the way that you express yourself. You really, I feel like you set such I wouldn't say high standard, because it's just this beautiful dropped in relaxing vibe that I get every time I look at what you do. It's almost like a mini break in the day.
On the one hand, I've dropped the high standards, but I've dropped the high standards that weren't my own. And on the other hand, it's right. My standards are very high, but not in the sense of external standards of like consistency, or it needs to look like this. It needs to have this many likes or whatever. No external standards, but just an internal standard. Like, I need to feel good posting. It needs to be nourishing for me. And when it comes from that place, and whoever is posting, when you post from that place, it's a gift. It's a gift for whoever reads it, because they can feel that energy and they're like, Ah, thank you.
You use the word nourishing and the word gift. And those are very beautiful words. Those are very intimate words. And when I feel into them, especially the way that you say them, it makes me feel very warm and very
Mm,
comfortable and very relaxed inside. And I just can't
mm.
help but feel that that's actually the way you conduct yourself online and you manage to connect with a lot of people. Would you say that's a style of marketing or authentic expression that can work very, very well for people? There's some people out there that might not believe that.
Mm. I actually like you give these words back to me, um, because even on that level, I think we're way more diversified. And even for me to say, like, make your post nourishing, could be limiting for some people. Because for other people, it might feel more resonant if they make their posts truthful, or if they make their post sparkling. It could be many different energies, right? And I'm laughing because I only found this out like in the last year, I guess, when I started to meet astrology next to, human design, and I saw that I had my Cancer, in the house of career, in the 10th house. So Cancer is all about, like
Yes.
Venus in Cancer. Venus is about beauty, right? It's about this relating, and then Cancer is about feeling, about this honesty, this openness. And then in the house of visibility, of like public visibility, made a lot of sense to me.
Venus is also magnetism too, right? So
Definitely.
attracting that nourishment for your career. Super, super cool read there. Like as soon as you said that, I kind of like light bulbs went off. For me, I have,
Yes. Hmm.
let's just talk about astrology. I have Virgo in the 10th house. So for me, it's about precision.
Yes, it's so
It's
different,
about
right?
truth and it's about health and it's about the environment.
Yes, yes. And that's what I like. If even on the energetic level, we're not all the same. What I would say is that gift thing. I think that's universal. Like that feeling of like what I'm writing here in a way is a gift. So when I would show up on a birthday, is this something I would could bring with me?
Yeah.
Or am I writing this because I'm afraid otherwise I won't have enough people for this and this course? That's such a different place to come from. And also, that will be felt by people who read your post.
We're already getting some comments here. And I think I'm not going to read them. I'm not going to get into questions because I want to give you space to take it in the direction that you feel most inclined today. But I'm feeling that some people struggle with visibility and being seen.
Mm.
And where do you invite people to begin that journey of finding their visibility, of finding, like we just talked there, and you could see truth was something that I put in my public eye, and you have nourishment in your public eye.
Yes. Yeah. Mm. There's such a huge pressure on visibility. So the first thing I'd like to say and kind of offer is the question, do you even want to be visible? Because in my world, it's not a given that every person needs to be externally visible, for example, on a social media platform. Um, for example, I feel like Instagram is, I love it personally. It fits me, like it suits me. But at the same time, I feel it's very much overrated. And it has become this thing that people think like, oh, it's a must. Like it's impossible, to have that exchange in my business otherwise if I'm not showing up there. So that's the first thing. I would like to take away that pressure of needing to be visible. And the second thing is, yes, I do think that internal visibility, like energetic visibility, is a must. But how that translates, it can be translated in so many different ways. So it's like with a baby, right? When you're pregnant, you're not expecting after 4 months to have a visible baby face showing up. Hopefully not, right? There's this surrender to, I feel something's coming, and I also trust it will come out at the right moment, and it will make itself present. It will, it will say like, hey, I will feel something. There will be contractions, like there will be clear signs that something is ready to come out. And with the visibility, I see two big kind of distortions which make together like an even bigger distortion. So the first is like, I need to be like that externally visible. And then the second one is all the time. So even more pressure is added to it, that there's this kind of, the light needs to be always turned on thing. And I feel a lot of people lose their joy also in their marketing, in their expression, because they're doing things that don't feel aligned, and then they're feeling this like resentment, and then like, whatever, let it go. I don't want to do this anymore. But the moment that you honor your own boundaries and you're okay with, for example, staying off social media for 2 months or forever, whatever fits you. And then like the baby, you feel those contractions and you feel like, okay, there's no choice for me right now but to share. This needs to come out right now. Like this is just like, it's brimming right to the top, and it just wants to be shown to other people. And sharing like this won't make sense for every person. For some people, just doing their service, doing their work, that is their marketing. That energy is so palpable, and there's so much love and care and intention in that work, that's the thing that is their marketing. For other people, it's just their presence, walking through the world, speaking to people, and it can be really, really different for every person. So I would say visibility stops with doing all the things you think you need to do to be visible. Because the way I'm seeing it is more an organic flowering from a connection with yourself than something you can push or achieve or strategize.
It's interesting you say that. And in my own experience, I've had a few clients when I've helped them with business, and they've said, yeah, I don't really need to do the marketing thing. I don't like Instagram. I don't like social media. I don't like computers. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they said, what ends up happening is it's word of mouth. And I feel like some people, they've just got such a love of what they do and a proficiency. And while they're doing it, that force is so powerful to the client, to anyone involved, that they just go out and do the marketing for them. And of course, as we all know, I think word of mouth is still the most powerful vehicle for marketing because it has that social proof built in. Often when people are telling the story, there's so much transmission of information and personal experience behind that it's very captivating.
Somebody asked if I'm a Dutch girl, and totally yes, I am. Sorry, that was a segue, but I'm finally seeing the comments. I was
Oh, cool.
missing them, so it's nice to feel all of your energy, to see you here. And yes, Dave, yes, word of mouth is very powerful, but also here I would like to kind of add, I wouldn't say it's the most powerful, not at all.
Oh,
Like I would
wow.
say there's so many different ways of doing marketing. And I would say in your case, Dave, it probably has played an important role. So
Yeah.
you have personally felt this power. And the funny thing is, for me personally, word of mouth is a minor part of my marketing. And to make a kind of practical connection, in human design, and I don't know how many of you know your human design chart, but a very, very important part that tells you something about your marketing is your profile, like the 2 numbers. So I'm a 5-2 profile. That line 5 that's in my profile. So for any one of you who has that, I work most powerfully as what they call a stranger of consequence. So this means I best heard most often with people who actually don't know me. And for other people who either have, like, for example, line 4 in their profile, or they have a lot in other places in their charts of those 4s, for them, the word of mouth and the connection and that kind of brotherly, sisterly energy, that's the thing that's gonna, be really, really helpful in their marketing. So yes, it can be
love the way
really
you describe
different.
I love the way you describe human design. You breathe so much life into it, and it's paired with that precise, that precision, essentially, that the modality has. And so it's wonderful to hear you talk about it, because you bring that Cancerian energy and that Cancer in the 10th house.
Beautiful.
Sorry,
Thank
we're
you.
nerding out on astrology and human design. I know not everybody. Okay, so I did ask on the bottom, what is your human design profile? And somebody said that they're a 5-1. So just for fun, can you maybe take an example of, how would you interpret a 5-1?
I've worked with many different people. I already told you something about the 5. I can add something to that. So I already said this stranger of consequence thing. Now, on top of that, I would say the 5 can be incredibly powerful, like having this kind of leadership skills. And I would say mental leadership. So a thought leader. The 5 is connected to the mental realm. But as you know, with the yin and the yang, with the balance, everything that's incredibly powerful has also an incredibly powerful shadow. So I would say of all the lines, the 5 can be the most diluted. Because if you can be so incredibly mentally powerful, you can also build like a labyrinth of illusions. And why can you do that? Because with the 5, it's like most people will see you, will paint the picture over you of your kind of best side. That's the way it works. It's like I'm sitting in a car with tinted glass, and they only see a few of my best kind of characteristics. And even some of them, they hope I'm carrying those best characteristics and that I can help them, I can save them. This is all nice and beautiful. But the moment I was so insecure for such a long time that I unconsciously used my 5 line and all those beautiful projections I received as a way to self-validate. And the thing with the line 5 is you need to kind of become a little bit detached from what everybody's saying about you. Because if you take everything in, not everything is true, what people see about you. They can only see a part of you. And the moment I start trying to satisfy everybody and their projections, I get lost. I get disconnected from myself. So it actually took me a really long time to disconnect from that, to anchor in with myself, connect to my own truth, and then step forward. So that's a big one with the line 5. And then the line 1, I would say a huge gift you can bring is your groundedness. But again, let's come back to the yin and yang. How do you come to a place of groundedness? Only if you've also gone through a lot of instability, through a lot of insecurity, through a lot of not knowing, and that is part of the process. So don't think like, oh, now I need to be like this grounded person all of a sudden. No, that's a whole journey. And the one, like I had a beautiful 1-3 manifestor client, and she was afraid to step forward in her work with plant medicine. She was afraid of everybody's judgments. And I know some coaches might have said to her, like, you can do it, step forward, go for it, yada, 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 like this kind of cheerleading motivational talk. But I said to her, this might be a good thing, your carefulness, because with your line 1, you need time to integrate everything, to find your own footing, your own foundation, and to do some shadow work with all the things you're afraid about. And once you've done that, the moment you step forward, it's from this beautiful place of grounding, because you cannot be shaken anymore. You've gone through those things. You know where you stand, and that is a very powerful place to come from. So I'm emotional authority. I cannot give superficial answers. So that's like my long answer to the example for, like a 5-1 profile.
It's beautiful because I don't often get to use this style where there's one question that takes a large deep dive. Normally it's more rapid fire, and I like this. I actually feel completely different. I mean, I'm a reflector in human design, so I'm pretty much the canary in the coal mine, or the wallflower just sort of there bobbing with the music. And so it's wonderful to experience this connection that we're having. Part of the reason why I really enjoy doing this is because I feel I can really connect with the energy of other people. And I think one thing you said in there that I want to just bring up is, I think it's typical for a lot of coaches to learn a system and try to fit the system to the client. And the way that you're approaching in this, and the way that feels very natural to me, is to listen or find those things that truly resonate with the client and explore them and bring those out and create a dialogue so that they become self-aware of how those elements play out in their life.
Yes. Not getting to learn a system, but getting to know the person.
Yeah.
And then create a system that fits that person. Yes.
Oh,
100%.
juicy. Create a system that fits that person. Ooh.
Yeah, it's like when you get a suit, right? And it's bespoke. It's custom made. I give people a custom made suit, but it's a marketing recipe. It's not a suit.
And I mean, that's the antithesis of what we see online. Last week's episode, I talked a lot about these marketing gurus who, come in there like, I'm 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure. If you take my course, learn my strategy, you can do this too. It's often the messaging that they have. But we don't see more people actually succeeding with that. We don't see that recipe working. And you must run into that with people, especially dealing with the arena you do, which is marketing. You must hear about this stuff all the time. So can you speak to that difference? And interestingly enough, there's a really good question here from somebody who says, I've used Facebook marketing with good results, but it doesn't feel right and it's expensive and inauthentic. So I think this is really a good approach to launch into this. I really wanted to talk about this with you.
I love that. Yeah. I happened to read also the follow-up to that question from Life Expanded, that they feel this financial pressure, and that kind
Go
of
deep.
really
Take it as far as you want.
Yes, yeah, it connects to everything you just brought in. That financial, if you feel that financial pressure, and next you're bombarded with, marketing coaches who tell you like how you can reach all these, glitterly sparkling rainbowy, many K goals. Like that is a very tricky combination, I feel. And to me, having my business and the marketing as a way of expressing that business, the last, like, pressure is a uninvited guest. Like, I see my business here because my business, I'm a part of it, but it's also its own entity. And one of my jobs is protecting my business. There's such a deep beauty there. There's like a garden full of precious flowers. When I'm starting to tell the flowers, hey, I want you to be kind of like this high next week because I want to show you off to other people, that's not going to work. Like, these flowers, they are growing in their own speed. And if I'm with a client and they're in financial pressure, I'm always inviting them to take it away from the business. Because if you want to be at your most creative in your business, financial pressure for most people is not going to work. Okay, you might have whatever, lots of Scorpio placements or North Node there, and it's like, yes, take the risk, go for it, and there's a healthy edge to that. But I would say in general, for most people, having like that much pressure actually takes away the creativity and the sacredness of your business. I took a side job 3 years ago. Why? To protect my business. I felt a lot of shame doing that initially. And slowly, after a few months, I started talking about it. And a lot of people kind of responded like, yeah, I'm also in that situation, or they were kind of relieved hearing that. Before that, I really thought I had to uphold this picture of like, I'm killing it, and having a side job means I'm kind of failing. So I realized this was a beautiful kind of invitation to work through those feelings and see that it is no way true, that I'm actually succeeding because I'm protecting and honoring my business, and I'm not using it as a milk cow. Like, give me milk now. I want to have my milk. Like, I need it now. So I can be in service to the entity of my business. And side job is just one example, but I would say the first image always, and this is a very deep metaphor, but that comes to mind for me is wherever you are, this can be a different problem you have, and you don't know the solution yet. Imagine like this huge space with many, many, many doors. You cannot see all of them, but start with the knowing and the trusting inside. There's one door, and if I walk through that, it leads me to a place where there's end and not and or. So when there's and enough money, and full freedom in my business. So no compromising. And the moment you are committed to that and you're like opening yourself up to that possibility, to that door, and you start just living, it's easier for that option to show up. Some people and some clients, they realized, oh, actually my partner can support me financially for some time, and I'm gonna work on letting go of the shame or kind of feeling that that's a wrong thing. Like, we're often blocking certain entrance ways of money because we have certain thoughts or beliefs about it. So to me, that's the first step. It's like taking away that pressure so that your seed can grow in this full-fledged flower. And I did it for 1 year. Then I just got a message, you're done here. Like, your side job is done. I still didn't have like the full, I couldn't see like how it would go with my business, but I had a trust inside. And that safety I received from that 1 year, that helped me so much to, reach the place where I'm right now, where I know inside my business will take care of me. It's a knowing, because I'm so deeply connected to the riches that I have to offer. There's a knowing there. It's not anymore a doubt.
There's something you said in there, the and or paradigm versus the and paradigm. And we had a chat a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that I just scribbled down because it was brilliant. And you're full of these little like snippets. Like you have some brilliant quotes. I mean, you're just full of quote material. But one of them we came up with was dumping one paradigm for another. And I feel that's what this is. It's that and or paradigm, the paradigm of compromise for the paradigm of I get this and this.
Yes, yes, yes. And the moment, imagine you're compromising yourself a little bit, you're using certain strategies, people tell you that work, guaranteed, and you start to express from that place. What energy are you bringing? The energy of compromise. Now imagine you take the door of and you're starting to express yourself from that place. Like, I won't be compromised no matter what. What is the energy you're sharing with other people? Abundance. No matter how money there is in your bank account in that very moment, even if there's €0, you're still sharing the energy of abundance, because not compromising yourself and just fully expressing from a place of joy, or like we said before, whatever that energy is for you. We all have different marketing essences. That in itself, your cells are alive. They're like, they're like dancing. And if you express from that place, your audience will feel like, oh, that abundance tastes good. And this is not an overnight thing. My definition of consistency is not post every day or even post every week. No, forget about that. It's when you choose to show up on YouTube or whatever medium and express yourself, consistently come from that place of freedom, joy, filling your own energetic word, non-compromise. That is my way of defining consistency, because if you keep doing that, not just one time, but if today I received a message from somebody who said, I'm so happy to see your face again on Instagram, because I know that when you post, it comes from a place of deep intention. And I really savor your post. And I was like, that is such a big compliment. And that is my favorite way of being consistent. So if you choose to do that, at a certain point, your audience will start to kind of recognize, like, wow, every time you show up, it's like an energetic birthday party. Like, I want to join that party, I want to be part of that.
You're so on the money there too. I feel like a lot of what we're sold as the idea of doing things is this first idea of I'm a 7-figure or I'm an 8-figure or you'll make lots of money if you do this. And I think people kind of contract and they get, oh, I need to make money. That's what business is about. But they don't realize that it's about much more than that. And actually, if we take this and approach and we just start coming from this place of, I love doing this, and this is why this is incredible. That's actually the basis for what all this marketing complication tries to simulate. It tries to simulate somebody who's having an awesome time. And I tell you, when I sit down,
simulate. That's a perfect word.
Simulate, yeah. When I sit down and I'm like, I really want to write an email right now, and I want to tell everybody exactly what I'm going through, what's happening in the collective and what in my life and all this. And I type that email out and I hit send, and it's just completely this spontaneous thing. And I start getting responses and I start getting interactions. I'm like, that was the easiest marketing thing I ever did. And I enjoyed it. That's a win-win. I loved writing the email, and then I loved the response that I received from the email.
Yes, we don't need to make money. We need to make energetic money. That's the base. Energetic money is just your cells making a little dance. And that's the base of all outer abundance. It's like that aliveness from within. And the aliveness from within will only come, or this is what I've seen and observed around me and in myself, when our body makes the decisions. For example, like you say, to write that email, and not our mind from a place of, I will write the email and it will give me this. It starts with just a bodily impulse. And I know for you as a reflector, I would phrase it slightly differently, but for 99% of the people, I would phrase it like coming from your body. You feel a pull. There's no reason. It doesn't always make sense. Most of the times it doesn't. And then you're like, oh, I created this thing. And you are resourcing yourself in the process. You're not using yourself like we use the earth, like we exploit materials without thinking of like the cycle. So this is how I often see that people use themselves. They're extracting precious materials for a certain result. I don't want to extract myself. I don't want to, be a patriarch to myself.
Yeah.
Say like, okay, we need to produce, so throw it out. It's like I don't want to do that.
I've started seeing this
to be sustainable.
Yeah, I started seeing that happening, and it felt very, very almost alien with this extraction happening with people that were working in embodiment, or especially with like bliss and like tantra and abundance. But it still felt like the whole thing was they're extracting this natural ability that they have, and they're exploiting themselves in using it.
Yeah, every few months I do a big like unfollow round. I used to follow a lot of people in the tantra scene, in the business, make money scene, like in all kinds of scenes. And I realized if I'm feeding myself with these energies, that's like I'm a tuning fork, they're a tuning fork. This is now the frequency I'm tuning myself to. So there was a lot, like over the last years, Like I've unfollowed many people. I won't even let everybody follow me. Like even if people start following me, I will always look like, who is this? And when I say who is this, I don't mean like on a literal sense, but I will just go for a few seconds to their profile. And if I get an icky feeling, it's like I'll remove that follower again to just keep the space. Like, this is my home. Like, I'm not, not everybody can be here. If, like, I won't invite people to my home that I don't like. So this is my way of like tending the frequency.
It's like you describe it. I get this image of like a queendom. Like it's just like this beautiful thing, and it's like it's well protected, but like it's beautiful inside. Even the
So
boundaries are very
funny.
pretty.
Yes, it's so funny. I use that word all the time. I'm always saying to my clients, like, this is your queendom. Like, you decide on the rules. You
Yeah.
decide, like, for some people, they want their Instagram feed to be like a fireplace, like this really cozy, warm, connecting place. I mean, I like that image, but I know that's not what my Instagram feed is.
Right.
Like, I'm a quadruple Leo, so there is an element of like my Instagram feed being my stage. And I love that. Like, I love performing on the stage. And the moment you find a metaphor that suits you, that feels good, you can start to design it accordingly or come to the conclusion Instagram doesn't fit for this. I might need a community. I know my dear friend Elira, who's participating, for her having like a Telegram group where there's more connection and intimacy, it felt better than always just being on this kind of very public kind of, you don't know everybody on Instagram. It's like can be a little bit random at times for certain people. So again, this kind of custom made what works for you.
I want to keep coming back to that theme, especially because you're so adept at going deeper. And I feel like the difference between the and or and the and I like that differentiation. But part of the and or, you might be in the embodiment field or whatever, but you're not necessarily, you're still doing the extraction thing. But the and is actually tacitly being in touch with the body. And really, even though you're doing something on a laptop, it's always about moving from that place, knowing how your energy works too. And astrology and human design are incredibly powerful tools for that. Not everybody resonates with them, but they might resonate just with knowing themselves, knowing what lights up. And it's that simple, right? You don't need a $10,000 mastermind group or anything for that. It's just, what is your body saying? Observe that, get to know that.
Yeah.
Beyond the, I think a big problem too is that sometimes we're surrounded by people, maybe at first, maybe in our local environment, that are of that older paradigm. And so when we start to say, I'm not compromising, they might say, you're being selfish, or, how could you? You're supposed to do it this way. And then enough people say that, we start to question it, right? Naturally, we want to be fitting in. It's like a mammalian part of our mammalian brain. It's like, I need to like be part of the herd, the tribe, the community.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'd yeah, what you're sharing, it connects. I see, I will move this to the side. I see Kirsty asks how to market when you find initiating and self-creating ideas difficult. It connects to what you say about the end-end paradigm, and that unicity, that's not a word, but that
Go with
embracing the
it.
uniqueness of yourself. I would say even the idea that you need to share ideas. is not true for everyone. And like many times when we ask a question like, how do I do this? And you don't see it, it's because the world and your queendom is probably built a little bit differently than what you're trying to achieve. So in this case, there are really beautiful examples. When you look at your design chart, you can see that certain centers will be colored in, other centers will be white, undefined. So if you have a lot of colored in centers, you're here to make an impact in whatever way. Your presence will be felt. Like it's like you are very much you, but not everybody is built to be very much you. And I mean that like in an in your face way. So you're the opposite, Dave. All of your centers as a reflector, they're undefined, they're open. So right now, I've never seen you so calm. You're sitting with me, but you're reflecting me. And in the next interview, you will be a different person again. And so there's a lot more fluidity for people who have lots of like undefined centers. There will be a lot more fluidity in their marketing. And many of those people, they try to be somebody or like a fixed somebody, especially if you're like G centers undefined, then you can forget about that if you don't know what it is, but you're not meant to be like a fixed somebody or like have like a fixed brand even. And to go one step deeper. So if you look at your chart and you kind of look like, where in my chart do I see, the colored in centers? Is it in top, like when you're a mental projector? Oh, I'm here to share my ideas. Like this makes really sense to me. But I've worked with many people where most of their defined centers are over here in the bottom, the sacral, the spleen, the root. And at a certain point, I realized most of those people are not built to have like these really intellectual posts. They're built to bring a taste of being, to bring their energy. And potentially it will be very different for everybody. This could look like you just sharing, you enjoying your life without, tons of complex thoughts, but that kind of contagious life force, right? And that presence. And this is my kind of coming back to the person asking like, okay, but where do I get my ideas, right? Like where do I get my creativity and how do I initiate? You're
I just
sharing a
pulled up a
chart,
random,
Dave.
just a random chart. It's not anyone's, but I just wanted to show, just show people what she's talking about. So when you do your chart, some of these are white like this, that are these undefined centers, and then the ones that are colored in are the defined ones. But anyway, so when she's saying some people have colors down here and undefined up here, that's what she means, whereas other people might have more definition in the upper ones. I just wanted to show people that might be more unfamiliar with human design what it looked like.
Perfect.
It's all about inclusion in my community and family. So I know a lot of people are really up on this, and I can just see the chat going wild right now with just a lot of comments today. People are getting very excited.
One more very practical addition to Kirsty, like some people, and again, you can forget all the technical things I share about human design because the principle still works, even if you don't know how it works. There's two variations of people. So there's a variation of people who's made to ask questions and to come up with stuff. But there's also people who are more built, like they're called like a cosmic sea. They're full of wisdom, but it will mostly come out when you ask them the right question. And they might even be surprised themselves what comes out of their mouth. And to these people, I say, like, don't try to come up with everything, because you're not built to be the come-upper. You're built to offer yourself. So on Instagram stories, you could say, like, ask me a question, and you could give some themes you're excited to talk about. So you can hand that to other people to ask you a question, and then they will bring you the content that you're going to talk about, and you can pick the questions you like, right? So there are many different ways to work with this.
What kind of questions do you like best?
Do I?
Like best?
The questions that, tickle my gut, and I never know what that is.
Ah.
So you ask a question, and when you hear me say, like, like, I'm excited about that question. There is an option, Dave. You will ask me a question, I'm like nothing really is coming. And for all generators, manifesting generators, 70% of the population, yes, no questions can work really well, in the sense that you can feel like if there's that availability to even answer it. But the moment you ask an open question, I will still have that response. I will still feel like, yummy. I feel like talking about that. But in general, I will never know what question that is. It will surprise me too. So I will have to listen to my own body. Like, I really take the time to let your questions sink in, so that I can feel, like, what is it doing to me? Is it landing? Do I want to answer it?
There's a question about, can you speak more to, I'll just read the question directly. Can you share a little more on sacral authority and how to implement it in your business or livelihood? So that means a good sign, right?
Started talking about it. Yeah. Yes, that's a perfect segue. You heard me?
Yep.
That was my sacral
I got
right
it.
there.
And you're not the only
Moving
person. I've
to-
heard that from other people too, that have the sacral authority. Yeah.
Yes, it's really funny. So the basis is following the movements of your body. That's the basis. And for some people, this will translate in sounds. For some people, it will feel, I would say, for manifesting generators, often it's more like a pull. It doesn't necessarily need to be a sound. But for pure generators, this will often, if you get a question, there will be like a clear sound, and that gives you like an availability. So what I had to learn for myself is to wait. Before, I would often think, oh, this would be cool to post, and this would be a good post. And then I would just start creating that post. And what I do right now is kind of totally the opposite. So I have a library with probably 50 to 100 posts I could post. They come up often at night when I'm lying in bed, and poof, it comes into my head. But no way I'm gonna post in that moment. And in my case, there's an added layer, because I have emotional authority. My brand of marketing is slow marketing. Emotional authority needs time. So I hardly ever, something comes into me and I just, put it out there. I take my time. I will feel into it from different angles. And then at a certain point, I feel like, yes, it's ready to be birthed. So what I do is I do write down when I have an idea, but I quit the habit of wanting to manifest that idea. I give that up to my gut, to waiting till I have a visceral response to something. So I might have written something a month ago, Now, I go on Instagram and I see somebody talk about exactly that. And I might go like, oh, yes. Or what even happens more often, like I have a chat with a client and I feel something that's so relevant for them, that's so juicy for them, that I'm like, ooh, I would love to share this with more people. So I have a response. It's not a thought, it's like an excitement happening in my body. And the moment that turned on feeling is there, and that might feel slightly different for you. I like the word turn on, but you might describe it in a different way, like a mountain spring, coming down from the mountain. I know I will have the energy to create that post and the caption and the graphics and like everything that comes with it. So I do write my ideas down, but I just wait till I get a sign. Like something comes to me and it's like, ooh, now it's time to post this. So my sacral is kind of the traffic light.
It's interesting. It's almost the word that came up for me when you were speaking was incubation. So like there's an incubation period and you're sort of letting it try on different things. And then all of a sudden there's a trigger that will initiate. Okay, now it's ready.
Yes. And
It's like when
for
you put the toast in
you,
the toaster and it goes, it's
yes.
incubating, it's toasting, it goes ding.
Yes. And for you, it will be in a way similar. Like we're both slow, Dave. You as a reflector are slow in a different way. I'm slow with my emotional authority. But this is the beauty. It's like I wouldn't tell everybody to be slow. If you're a sacral generator with or without the spleen connected to it, you can be way faster. Not everyone. There are other elements in your chart, and that's too much detail for now, but you can be way faster. You might enjoy walking somewhere, where seeing something beautiful and just posting it, or maybe posting it an hour later. I make a ton of pictures. I love making pictures of everything beautiful that I see around me, and I will just pile that up. And then most pictures you see on my story, they're from 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. They have ripened. And for other people, I see they're just sharing what they did that day. And that might be correct for them, like, because otherwise they lose the connection because they're more connected to the moment. And so even timing is something that will work differently for
Yeah.
different people.
It's it's very beautiful the way that using this system you've turned it into poetry. Like you've made human design into like a masterful art form. And you really are able to cherish the diversity of each individual because you get to see it every day. And so listening to you, that's, I think, is a skill of maturity in life, is being able to allow things to be different and to see that they're part of a mosaic. They're part of this beautiful weave and that not everything has to be a certain way.
Yeah.
This has been really wonderful. Is there anything else that you really want to explore or dive into in this discussion that you feel we might not have touched on?
But this is a great example of a question I have no answer to. It's so
And
open, I get lost, and I'm
you
just
get
like,
lost.
ooh, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
thank you for giving that
Thank you
example.
for that answer, because I think a lot of people wouldn't answer like that. They'd try to fill it with something. So I will ask you a question. You talk about the word marketing itself, in that the root of the word marketing sort of has an end goal built into it. What can you say about that and its effect on people?
Yes, we're definitely not going to end in a superficial way. So this is a very deep one, Dave. At a certain point, I was like, wait a moment, marketing, it's a really weird word. Like flower, it just points to a flower, period. It's simple. Or cooking, it points to the activity of cooking. But then we have marketing, it doesn't point to the activity of simply expressing yourself. It's like, no, I'm gonna market myself, I'm gonna attract clients. So I was like, wait a moment, there is a goal built into that word. And I'm feeling this already immediately kind of pulls you away from what it's all about. It's simply expressing something that matters to you, that you feel like sharing with other people. And if you bring it back to that, all of a sudden it can become really simple again, because you're disconnecting yourself from all those expectations, from all those things you want to reach. Those can be a side product, but if every time I'm gonna cook, I'm like, if that verb would include that I'm gonna cook like a masterpiece, I'm gonna feel a lot of pressure on my shoulders. I'm like, okay, I need to really do this right. But if instead I'm just like, no, I'm cooking, I'm creating, I'm grabbing a broccoli, I'm grabbing this, and I'm curious, what this is how I cook. Like, what will emerge out of this? And
Well, it's interesting because I just want to interject here, but it's interesting because if we treated the words cooking or jogging like we do marketing, we'd say, I'm going to display food or I'm going to go weight lossing, right? The end result as
weight
opposed
lossing,
to
yes, that's
weight
a good
lossing.
one. Yeah.
I thought of that one. I think
Yeah.
it came up in our conversation actually.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I like it to bring it back again to where all the power lies, and that's within you. Like,
Oh,
if you just start here and forget about everything outside of you, that's it.
oh. I knew this was a good question to end on. This was just that, it's
Aww.
the perfect wrapping, the bow tie on the present, essentially, because it is a gift. We started with a gift and we end with the bow tie on the gift. So I just want to say you have lots to share with people, but specifically, I'm going to post this into our chat here, where people can find out more about what you do. And I just want to show them where that will take them as well. So I'm just going to pull that up here. And I believe this is where it will go. And
Yes. That's the
yes.
link tree from my Instagram. So on my Instagram, that's in general the place. On top of that, there's a form. And we've been talking about marketing essence in this conversation. It's like, what is the unique energetic place I'm coming from in my marketing? For the last 5 years, I've used a really beautiful embodied method to connect people to their essence or to their marketing essence. And for the first time, I'm going to share this not one-on-one like I normally do with my clients, but I'm going to share this like in a large group format. A very, very accessible event. And if you're interested in joining, you'll find just a tiny little form. You can leave your name, your email. And again, I will do this in my way. So there's no newsletter. You're not ending up on any like email list. There's no kind of like this manipulative barter, like if you give me this, I will give you that. The only thing you'll receive is just a notification like, we're ready to go. This is the date that, Marketing Essence is happening, which will be somewhere in the next 2 weeks. And in general, I would say Instagram is the place where you find most of my essence.
Beautiful. This whole conversation has just been filled with your essence. And it's such a beautiful demonstration for other people of somebody just authentically being themselves and making it work and being able to run a business and enjoy themselves and feel fulfilled and never have to compromise. Or as the expression goes, it is possible to have your cake and eat it too.
Yes, exactly. Lots of cake.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been an exceptional chat and discussion. And I just want to say to all the viewers, thank you very much. Please like, subscribe. And if you found this useful, please share this. These discussions are priceless, and they would be so great for other people to hear. And of course, it's just given freely on YouTube. So go ahead and share. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.